That's a great fucking head game. I like that.
That's why I can't train the way I compete. I can, like especially like in the early days of regionals when it's like there was 5 weeks of regionals or something, and it's like if you're in week 5, you have like 7 weeks of knowing the regional workouts before you have to compete in them. Like I can't even come close to hitting my times that I hit in competition in training. And it's just because I build it up more in my mind going into competition of like, all right, this is about to really, really hurt. Like,
I think your approach makes Josh uncomfortable. Nothing about that makes me uncomfortable. Makes me very warm and fuzzy. No, because Josh, Matt's, by the way, is that in your book, Matt? Do you talk about that in your book? That's some good shit. I really like that. I mean, that's fucking amazing. Like, that's a takeaway. Everyone can like make an attempt at that. But I think it's the opposite of what Josh does. You go in there being like thinking about how bad it's going to be, and I think Josh goes in there thinking
Josh has contributed nothing to this conversation yet, and you're already saying like, this is the opposite. You're
deciding what my fucking brain thinks. First of all, pipe the fuck down.
Josh goes into it thinking he's a badass. Like, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. Like, I think that's what most people do.
You have no idea what I think. Sevan.
Okay. All right.
I don't think I've ever actually went into a workout in my mind being like, I'm going to win this workout. And I think if I have, I lost it. I always go into a workout nervous as shit that I'm gonna basically like be exposed that I'm not as good as I think I am. That's typically my thoughts in my head.
But I mean, even in training,
I've gone into one workout being like, I am winning this and I don't care. But then I lost the competition overall, so it really didn't matter.
Yeah. For
what
me,
was the workout?
I would just.
It was the thrusters and bar muscle ups in the 2015 games.
Sorry, Josh. Go ahead. Tell us about how you go in overconfident and you shit the bed. I mean, that's an incredible.
You're lucky we're not sitting across the table together.
400 miles.
Yeah.
No, I know. Anytime I go into a workout, like being like, "Oh, I got this. I'm not preparing myself for pain. I think it's going to be a walkthrough. I love going onto the competition floor, thinking like, okay, like this is not a good workout for me. I need to now pay attention to every little detail. And so I'm not worried about the overall placement. I'm not worried about anyone in the other lanes. I'm really focused in on the things I have control over. So I remember one was like that strict workout at regionals with the muscle ups and handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
And that one, I think in training, I got into the 8th round. I couldn't even complete 8 rounds, and I did it multiple times. And then going on the competition floor, I was like, okay, I just need to not lose.
What happened probably was you were holding yourself to a very strict muscle up and a strict standard, and then you realized that when you went into competition, the judges were like, some people were really strict and some people were like, yeah, whatever. And that's why it was just such that workout should never have been in the regionals. It should have just been 4 muscle ups.
There should be no opinion when it comes to judging. It should not matter who your judge is.
Exactly. It was so subjective. Yeah. It was the most subjective workout that's ever been programmed. It was insane. I remember watching it in the back, and I was so nervous about that workout as well. And I remember watching the first heats go in front of me, and I'm like, "Oh, look at what these guys are kipping! Like these aren't strict." I'm like, "Okay, I'm good." Like that. Literally, that's what I thought. I'm like, "I'm good. This is fine." And and then a few people got really judges who were holding them to a very strict standard. Which even when Bosman announced the standards at our athlete briefing, it was so unclear of what you could and couldn't do. It was mind-boggling. You can't bend your
knees, but you can bend your knees a little bit.
That's exactly what he said. He was like, your feet can't rise in front of you at all. He's like, they can't come up at all. And then the girl, someone asked the question, was like, well, what if your feet come up just a little bit, like as you're going up? He's like, well, if they come up just a little bit, then it's okay. That's literally what he said, like verbatim in the athlete briefing. And I'm like, I wanted to raise my hand. I'm like, what? what? Excuse me?
Josh, think about the workout with the ring handstand push-ups that you and I were going head to head on.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Heat 1 to heat 4, and then not only that, set number 1 to set number 3. We were doing completely different movements,
completely different. And the judge was the judge was calling standards and calling something a rep that they had been, or no rep that they had been calling a rep the entire time. I'm like, I'm doing nothing different, and now all of a sudden you're calling a no rep. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Just how does Josh go into a workout? Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. So what Matt was saying is exactly right. Like, I go into every workout nervous and afraid, and then as slowly as as I'm going onto the competition floor, I start to gain confidence in myself, knowing hey, because the thing that we always had in the teams was fall back on training. Don't try to rise to the occasion, right? I fall back on what I train myself to do and not have to rise to the occasion and be surprised by something, right? I'm not going to be surprised because I train myself so well that I know when I go out here, I'm going to be just fine. And that's basically was always my mindset. Yes, I would be nervous. I always have competition nerves. I always have event nerves. Have the butterflies. I've done it since I was a kid, growing up playing baseball, coming up to bat or wrestling, every match, the butterflies in my stomach before every wrestling match was insane. And the moment I stepped on the line and the ref blew the whistle to go, or Dave said 3, 2, 1, go, or whatever, whoever said 3, 2, 1, go, my body just went complete. My body goes numb, and I lose everything. I don't feel anything. I don't really have much thought. I'm just in a zone.